Hey, you guys, welcome to another broadcast. So glad to have you guys here today. Just going to give people just a little time to get on here, about another minute, then we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Hope you guys have had a wonderful weekend. It's a beautiful one out here where we are. And yeah, we're just going to have another sit down and give an opportunity for you to call in and share your thoughts and whatever it is that you got on your mind and your heart and your chest and all of that. And yeah, we're going to give people another opportunity to do that. So all right, yeah, we'll go ahead and stop it here. But anyway, yeah, so we've been still cooking in the kitchen, you know, when it comes to our music. So we got our album. Already told you about our album. You guys should know about that already. Our album that we have, come on, Backstage Crew, which is actually me. Where are you? Hold on, here it is, right here. We got this right here. Our album, Sound Time. That's available over on sambatree.com, and you can order it $4.99. That's it. You get 12 songs, and not just any songs. They're meaningful, and you can check them out. Go to the new section. I think it's a new arrival section. That's right. Go to the new arrival section, and you'll see it there. It's over on sambatree.com. Should I show the site? I'll just flash the site up here so you can see it again for those who are brand new here. And let's see here, Sambattree.com. I'll just bring it up real quick, just to show you, for those that are brand new, never been to the site before. Not that. This. There you go. And so, yeah, so the website again is Sambattree.com. And there you go. There you go. All kinds of healthy things that we have here. A whole lot of stuff. Copper jewelry, bitters. We got this right here. We got our own AI assistant. If you have any questions regarding, herbs, what herbs you should take and all of that, well, we got something right here waiting for you to ask whatever questions you may have. It doesn't know everything, right now, but we're still, we're in the process of adding some more to the database and all that. Hey, Willie, how you doing? And then, yeah, so you could check that out there. That's just the front page. And then, of course, once you start making your way into the new arrivals section, you can see that we got, we got something. Well, as soon as it loads up there, but our new arrivals section. We just put out our newsletter this week. So if you're on the mailing list, you'll see that you got your newsletter. We also included in that newsletter a link that will take you to a bunch of free books on herbs. And so, yeah, we try to put stuff in there that'll make you click, not just to buy stuff, but really so that you can learn about these many wonderful alternatives that are out here that are good for you and your body, and just getting your mind and all of that together. Because again, as you know, if you've been following us, that's what we've really been on, that really trying to get our people to see the value and the importance of taking care of your mind. There's a lot of crazy stories I can go over right now of different things where many of our people just completely losing it, and a part of it, I ain't saying this is the whole solution. A part of it is certainly what we're putting in our bodies. And then you put yourself through all kinds of stress. A lot of times it's unnecessary stuff, but we do it anyway, and your body just ends up breaking down and all that kind of stuff. So we try to provide a solution here over on Sambattree.com. So again, thank you so much for joining. People who are coming in the chat and all that, welcome. I'm glad to see at least your names. I don't see your faces, but you see mine. So anyway, so today we're going to once again revisit the same thing that we've been doing. As far as periodically we'll go live, and we'll give you the option to call in. And this is not a debate. Nobody's going to be arguing. Nobody's going to be chewing you down. We don't do like a lot of these platforms do, when they open the Bible up and it's people screaming and hollering about their own interpretation of scriptures and all that stuff. We're not doing any of that. Okay. I personally, it's such a nice day. That would be not even the last thing I would want to do to wreck the day. Okay. So you're not going to get that from me. All right. You're not going to get that from me at all. We try to be straight up and honest and upfront with people as much as we possibly can, on this platform. And when we're talking about these different topics that are very important, and then from periodically, we want to hear from you. It's one thing to put things in the chat because it's a lot easier to hide. You know what I'm saying? But it's another thing when when you're actually hearing another human voice. So today, our target, and I'll go through it in a moment here, is really hearing. I'm going to read this post that I wrote yesterday, late yesterday. And then from there, we're going to give you an opportunity to chime in. All right, on that. And we want to hear from you. And, again, I get people all the time, that will leave a message of, what do you believe? What do you believe? What do you believe? It's not a mystery. We have a whole playlist. I think it's called Leaving the Hebrew Matrix. So I think that's what it's called. It's a whole playlist where we have been very clear and upfront on this journey that we're on. Okay. And I think, let me just say this. When people ask this, and I hope you guys, and I want you guys to really hear what I'm about to say. Okay. I was listening to this guy. He's a scholar. He's like a Bible scholar. I think he specializes in the Old Testament. I was listening to him, and someone asked him a question. I think they asked them, I think the question was, do you believe Jesus existed? It was something like that. And so he gave an answer, but man, it took him forever to answer it, and he really didn't even answer. That's looking at it on the top level, right? But if you actually listen to what he was saying, I had a whole lot of respect for that, and that was like, wow, that's kind of what I try to do. People will oftentimes, they will ask you, like yesterday's post, it had nothing to do with Jesus. At least no. The post before that had nothing to do with Jesus or anything like that. But they immediately, just the fact that I was simply raising a question when it comes to the Bible, they automatically said, so does this mean you don't believe in Jesus? It's like, wait, where's that? How you jump to that? I'm not even talking about Jesus in this post. But how is it you just like all of a sudden just, does this mean you don't believe in the Bible? I'm just posting a scripture there. That's all I'm doing. And I'm trying to get you to think about that. That's it. Why are you jumping all the way to that? Let me explain why people tend to act that way. What it is, again, is that going back to this guy, this scholar that I was listening to yesterday, he was very careful to give an answer, non-answer, but he's been answering it. And the reason why it may seem on the top level, oh, you're just being elusive, you're not asking, because we're so used to someone coming out with an absolute yes and no. And a lot of times, yes, when a question is asked, it should be, there are times where it should be an absolute yes or no. That is true. But when you realize that, I know in our case, we have numbers of people who do value what we say. And because of that, I have to be extremely careful on how I directly issue an answer. Because if I directly issue an answer on some things, unfortunately, what happens out here is that people will automatically just take that affirmative yes or affirmative in a no, and will automatically run with it and will literally adjust and change their perspective or their opinion on something without them even taking the time to investigate it themselves. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's not that, oh, I'm hiding something and I'm not really answering. I'm not being direct. No, it's not that at all. I realize that. I realize that I got to be careful. Some things I could say, oh, heck no. You know what I mean? And there's other things I could say yes directly. But then there's some things what I will do is say, listen, I gave an answer for this. This is my answer. And my answer is you may want to check out a few of these videos here that we've done where we've actually talked about these particular topics or this particular topic that you're talking about or asking about. And you can kind of get an idea of where we're going. In other words, the investigation, if you will, is still ongoing. But I want you to see why I'm going in that direction. Because I want to give you as the individual room for you to kind of see, okay, I see where he's going with this. And as far as the destination is concerned for you, well, that should be left up to you. It would, someone said something a while back that I had a lot of respect for, and I still do to this day. They said, be the leader that you want to see. And we have, as particularly as us as Black folks, as I've been saying in these other videos that we've done, we have been brought, when we were brought over here, we were brought over to be obedient, and that's it. We were brought over to be slaves. We were brought over here to be obedient. In other words, master says do this, you do this. Master says do that, you do that. That's it. Master says go to bed, you go to bed. Master says get up, you get up. Master says, okay, you got it. This is the God you worship that God. And so we have been used to someone, we have been trained. We have been trained as a group of people to just be obedient and not dare question too many things. because especially if it's coming from those people, if you know what I mean. Because if you dare question it, then that means something is off. And, that means that, wait a minute now. Wait a minute now. What are you doing now? You got to stay on the straight and narrow now. And you got a lot of people out here who may think that they're questioning the Bible, but in reality, they're still on the same plantation. They're very careful not to leave the plantation. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what we're going to get into a little bit today. If you've been noticing, I know it's like on TikTok or even on Twitter, it shows up, on YouTube. There's this mad, I don't know what you want to call it, to establish that Jesus was in fact a black man. He was black. I'm trying to tell you, he was a black man. He was black. And it's like people are just so like desperate to establish that. And we'll get into that in a moment. But what people don't realize is that it doesn't matter if you establish him as black, white, Asian, it doesn't matter. It's all tied to the same system at the end of the day. And I left a comment with someone left a comment, and it was a quite interesting one. It was saying that Jesus doesn't have nothing to do with Rome at all, and that's why I did the thumbnail, where I said it's like a Build-A-Bear Jesus. It's kind of like you're separating. Oh, no, they said the Bible has nothing to do with Rome. That's what they said. I think they were saying the Bible has nothing to do with Rome. I was like, you really need to look at your history. That's who gave you the Bible in the first place. And it's like when I listen to some of our people, it's like they literally will look at history just long enough to get what they want to get out of it, and then actually take those pieces and try to put them together and then build their own narrative. That's not an honest way to look at history. You know what I mean? It's not being honest at all. And so anyway, so today what we're going to do is, like I said, I'm going to go through this post, or maybe the other one too. We're going to look at this post. We're going to take our time, go through it. And then, some of this stuff is going to be very repetitive. And for those that follow us, we really appreciate you guys. For those that follow us on the regular, but some of these things have to be repetitive because, you have people that come in that are brand new and they may not have heard these things. You know what I'm saying? So some things I do have to revisit, which is why one of the reasons why I'm doing this whole live thing again, to give people an opportunity. So by the way, when we do open the phone line, notice I said line singular because that's all I have. What was I going to say? I want to reserve it only for those who have never called in before. Okay, that's it. If you're someone that's called in the past, I love you, but don't call right now. Okay, we want to hear from brand new people who want to call in, and I'll reemphasize that once we get to that point. Okay. But yeah, just getting back to this point as far as how we have been trained just to be obedient and not to really ask any questions. And for us as a people, we have gone from slavery to the church. And then in church world, you had the pastor who would say, God told him this, or God says this, and God says that, or whatever. And don't you dare. And so it's been buried in us that you never question God, because if you question God, you're going to be struck down. You know what I mean? And, but no, if our creator is a good creator, he wants to, you know what I mean? Think of a good father or a good mother. You think if you are living in a house where your father or mother loses their mind simply because you ask a question, then there's some real problems there. And unfortunately, we have a lot of our people who view our creator in just that way. You know what I'm saying? But it also too is we take this Bible as if it was literally fell out of the sky and came into your lap, and then it's absolute. You don't dare question it, and that's it. That's another fallacy, and we got to come out of that, okay? And so we're going to be talking about that as well. And again, big shout out to everybody that's in the chat. So what I'm going to do now, let me go right to this post I did recently, and we're going to continue, just to be clear here, absolutely clear. We're going to continue to ask difficult questions, on this platform. And that's it. I mean, that's just what it. We're not going to go away from that. I would say, as we have been doing these videos, we have probably in the last month, we probably lost about 50 subscribers, and they continue to leave. And that's okay, because what that tells me is, see, in the church world, it's a blessing. It's viewed as a blessing when you got all these people. Look at all these subscribers I'm getting. The Lord is with us and all that stuff. I don't really see it that way. Because usually a crowd, a lot of times you can obtain a crowd. That means that the gate is so wide open that nobody's being challenged at all. You just letting anybody come in and that's it. But only when you start challenging people, when you start demanding of folks to start using their brains, that's when people are like, wait a minute, this ain't fun anymore. Well, then it's not. But if you are interested in growing and developing as an individual, it's going to require some work, and it's also going to require some responsibility on your part. Okay. Either that or people don't like me. That's okay. Okay. That's totally fine too. But anyway, but I don't take it personal, please. I'm not that person. Okay. I'm not that guy. Okay. I'm totally fine. Have a lovely day, lovely family. I'm that I have here and all of that. Everything I need is right here. So I don't look to that and be like, okay, my joy meter is tied to the subscribers. Please, it's not that at all. I would have been jumped off a bridge if it was like that. Anyway, let's see, where do I go from here? Okay, so I'll just go to the one post that I did, because the other one, I think that would take us too far off of our topic, and then we just gonna jump right in. Okay. All right. So here's the post that I did. And I'm just going to take my time and go through it. Okay. All right. Oh, man, I forgot to do that. Yeah, I kind of, stopped a little bit from posting. When I do long posts like this, I will also put it on our blog. I haven't done that yet. My apologies. I'll make sure I'll do that today. Okay. So I'm sorry I didn't get to that. But anyway, let me go ahead and read this here and let us go. All right. I said, typically when a spouse doesn't keep their promises when entering into a marriage, in many cases, it leads to a divorce if that spouse doesn't show any interest in changing that broken promise behavior. If the spouse on the receiving end of those broken promises not only decides to stay in that marriage, but makes excuses for that spouse, it is a clear sign that the spouse is dealing with some inner trauma and needs some counseling. Now, I want you to hear this part here. It is a sign that this individual does not see themselves worthy enough to be honored with another person's promises. Let me say that again. It is a sign that this individual does not see themselves worthy enough to be honored with another person's promises. All right. And I said, we have discussed these passages many, many times on this platform and have invited viewers to provide some straight answers during our live broadcast to no avail. So let's look at the following again. All right. So what we did, when I'm talking about promises here, we're just talking about some of the promises that were mentioned by Jesus according to the Bible. Okay. And we're just going to go through them. Okay. This one's under healing and miracles. And it says, and these signs will accompany those who believe. In my name, they will cast out demons. They will speak in new tongues. They will pick up serpents with their hands. And if they drink any deadly poison, it will not hurt them. They will lay hands on the sick and they will recover. Let me read that again. That's Mark chapter 16, verse 17 through 18. All right. And these signs will accompany those who believe in my name. They will cast out demons. They will speak in new tongues. They will pick up serpents with their hands. And if they drink any deadly poison, it will not hurt them. They will lay hands on the sick and they will recover. Now, let's take our time and go through this scripture, okay? We're not going to read this metaphorically, okay? Because that's one of the issues and problems when it comes to scripture. All right. When it comes to the Bible, we have been trained to look at things just only metaphorically and not the literal part too, because there are literal promises that are being made here. All right. All right. So he says, in my name, they'll cast out demons. Now, when someone says they cast out demons, that is a very subjective thing. There have been many cases when you look at these crusades and, different ones. There have been, many cases where they said, did you see when that preacher, when he laid hands on that person, those demons just fled? But there's also many, many cases where you have people who have pretended to be demon possessed and then all of a sudden they subsided. And I would dare say in most of those cases, that is the case. All right. So it's not, is this something that can be quantified? Is this something that can be measured? No. All right. They will speak in new tongues. Again, that's something that is very subjective as well. Anybody, I mean, anybody. You got Satanists that are out here that will speak in tongues. I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just saying. Okay. They will pick up serpents with their hands. Now, nobody in their right mind would do that unless they had to, right? But so a lot of times people like to point to those churches, those hillbilly churches where they're up there praising God and they're dancing with snakes and all that. Well, that's just stupid. Okay. And this is the scripture that they point to. And, all it takes is a few minutes to go on YouTube and you'll see that there are many times they've done that and them jokers got bit and had to go to the hospital. There was one case a person died, I know of, that did that. And so again, is that something that can happen? I mean, we don't know. I mean, it cannot happen. Okay. But do they, you got people who pick up snakes that don't know Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And don't get bitten. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to do is get you to see this from different angles. All right. And okay, with their let's see, we'll pick up serpents with their hands. And if they drink any deadly poison, it will not hurt them. All right. Well, we can look no further than Flint, Michigan. We can look no further than Mississippi and other places where our people have been, the water supply in those areas have been extremely poor. And in some cases, very poisonous. And they have been getting sick and people have been dying. But what's this scripture say here? Now, when we go through this scripture, what we try to do is automatically give excuse and say, well, maybe those people really weren't praying enough, or maybe they weren't fasting enough. Maybe they didn't read their Bible enough. We're so quick to jump to those conclusions, because that's the only way we can kind of make this make sense. But there are a lot of people who live in these areas who are doing all those things and been doing these things and then some, but still they'll drink the poor water that they have. And we're just talking here in the States. Let's not even get into, some of these other countries here, the poorer countries, that they have no choice. They're drinking out of polluted rivers and stuff like that, getting all kinds of sicknesses and diseases and all of that stuff. But our Western mind would tell us, well, because they're worshiping other gods or whatever, that's got to be it. That's just got to be it. We will always create a back door to make this thing make sense. Always do that. And what we try to do here is say, enough of that. Let's look at this as is. And, and keep our big boy, big girl pants on, and let's face it. You understand? Okay. Deadly poison will not hurt them. All right. And it's because this scripture is saying if they drink any poison, I mean, I don't want to expand that to the vaccine or anything else, because they ain't talking about a vaccine. It's saying if you drink any poison. So you could apply it to other things, but I don't want to read that into it because that's not what this says. All right. All right. And then the last part, which is really a standout that I think applies, anybody can relate to this one. It says they will lay hands on the sick and they will recover. Now, at best, I've had people call in and say, well, you know, back in the day when I was a teenager, we used to have revival meetings or something. And we used to see things happen. OK, well, I wasn't there. So I can't vouch and say you're absolutely right on that. And that did happen. I can't vouch for that. That's your experience. And I can only assume that, that probably did happen based on what you're saying. But what we do know, what we can all agree to, is we can speak on the now, and it's not happening. OK, and some people will go, well, it's because they took prayer out of school and all that. So no. The government has nothing to do with this. It says here, they will lay hands on the sick and they will recover. Now, what's the qualifier for this? It says those who believe. So if you believe on him, you'll have the ability to do these things that are listed in this passage, right? Let's continue. All right, empowerment to do greater works. Now, this one is even more powerful, because this is beyond just the mere healing stuff. Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever believes, not if you got a certain license, not if you're part of a certain family, not if you're part of a certain bloodline. What does it say? Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever, that applies to who? Whoever believes in me will also do the works that I do, and greater works than these will he do, because I go to my Father. John chapter 14, verse 12. So this is what was promised. We were not promised just to simply do what he was doing. Now, Jesus, according to the Bible, was raising people from the dead. He was walking on water. He was doing all this other stuff too, right? He was doing a lot of stuff, right? That's what he was doing. He was doing all this stuff. And so that means what he's saying here is that we were supposed to be doing much greater than that. Like, in other words, we should be at the level right now where if I wanted to show up in New Zealand somewhere, I could just snap my fingers and be there. I mean, we should be at that level and then some. All right, let's continue. Let's continue here. These were promises made by Jesus according to the Bible. The only qualifier, according to Jesus' own words, for an individual to lay hands on the sick and heal them was to believe on him. We were also promised to do greater works than what he performed while he was here on the earth. Outside of the minor story here and there that could be credited to as a greater work, quote unquote, this has not happened, period. Has not happened. And then I went on to say, I said, the defense that people typically give is, well, it's not supposed to happen right now, right? And I said, that is not true. That is not true at all, as works, arguably not greater than what Jesus performed, did take place in the book of Acts, right? In the book of Acts, we read about how the disciples and then some, how they were doing different, miracles and stuff, right? But isn't it funny, once we start getting into the Paul's letters, we don't really hear Paul too much talking about miracles. It just dropped. It literally just dropped. It faded out. I don't know if people have ever stopped to really think about that. Why is it that we don't hear Paul talking about massive amount of miracles and stuff that were taking place in his letters? We don't hear about that. You may want to think about that for a moment, okay? All right, but strangely enough, it goes silent after that. I said, the other excuse people give is, this is a wicked and unbelieving generation. And I said, this is exactly how Jesus described his own generation in Matthew 12:39. Yet he was still raising the dead. And I said, we have watched dear loved ones die untimely deaths for years. I literally just got a notice this week. A friend of mine I went to school with, well, he's 50. I guess he just turned 50. Gone. I think he had 3 children. Gone. Watched ourselves and loved ones get sick, and yet there is no standing on the promises of Jesus. Individuals who are doing what he promised, those who believe. We oftentimes get asked the question, what do we believe? This is where I'm saying, like for me, a lot of times people are, oh, what do you believe? And I said, that question has been answered multiple times in great detail over and over and over and over again. We have an entire playlist covering it, and I give you the link. All right. And then I said this, I said, now I think the question should turn back to you. What do you believe? By simple definition stated by Jesus himself, you should be performing greater works than what he did. If you're not doing that, then it simply means you don't believe. That's what it means. You questioning me, which I don't care. And because I've been answering. We welcome the questions and we've been answering. But now stop the deflection. And now the question now should be, you should be asking yourself, what do you believe? Because Jesus defined those who believe this is what you're going to be doing. If you're not doing what he said, promised that you were supposed to be doing, then by his definition, not mine, his definition, this ain't getting in any kind of doctrinal, whatever, nothing. This is what the raw word, this is what it says. By his definition, that means you don't believe. Very simple. And so anyway, I did these old memes or whatever you want to call them. I said, even if Jesus was black, he's still leading you back to Rome. It doesn't matter. People are so invested in making sure he is blacker and blacker and black. It doesn't matter. He's still connected to Rome. You can't separate Jesus from the Bible. As much people, it's amazing to sit back and watch people try. Well, I don't call, and see, here we go with the backdoor stuff again. Once it starts getting a little warm, the room start getting a little too warm for you, you automatically go to that back door. Well, I don't call him Jesus anyway. This don't apply to me. I call him Hamashiach. It doesn't matter. You're still talking about the same individual. I call him Yeshua. It doesn't matter. You're still talking about the same individual. I call him Yahawashai. It doesn't matter. You're still talking about the same individual. See, all that backdoor logic, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Not here anyway. It doesn't, because you're talking about the same person. And then this is another one I did. I said, while our people stay arguing over scriptures, our sick and dying can't get you to believe Mark 16, 17 to 18. You got people out here. When I'm scrolling through TikTok, when I'm scrolling through YouTube, these people will be on this thing for hours. I don't see how people, I'm like, what do you do? Do you work? What do you do? They'll be on there 3, 4 hours, 5 hours. It was one time I've seen them like almost, it was like 12 hours screaming over scriptures. Meanwhile, you got your friends, your family members, they don't know who to turn to except the only person they turn to. They turn it to the doctor to heal them, because apparently, according to the words of Jesus, you don't believe in him. So who are these sick people going to believe in? The medical people. The medical people say, hey, listen, we'll even put on a white coat. We may not look like Jesus, but we giving an appearance, on all white, maybe that'll help you out. So that's why a lot of our sick will go to the hospital, because you don't even believe him. I know that's hard. I know people don't want to hear that, but it's true. Are you known as a healer, a real healer by the definition of Jesus in your community? I'm not talking about, well, I grow herbs and stuff like that. That's good, and we need to do that. All right? I ain't talking about that. We ain't talking about herbs. I'm talking about physically laying your hands on somebody and watching them getting healed before you on a regular basis. Not something that happened when you were at youth camp back in 1976. I'm talking today. All right? Why is it that Christians, Bible believers, Hebrews were not on the front line when this whole COVID thing came out? People were getting sick and dying. I ain't heard that one instance from Hebrews or Christians going out here and shutting entire hospitals down because of their belief in the Jesus that they claim. And they were just laying hands on folks and people getting healed. See, our people get so impressed when they see like IUIC and all them getting out there. They can get out there and march, have all their purple on. Oh, it's so good to see black men come together. And, we just come together and there's order and all this stuff. We get so impressed with all of that. But while they're marching, you got people getting sick and dying. See, and again, we don't want to hear this stuff. Nobody wants to hear this. They don't want to hear this. Well, you just misinterpreting the Bible. I'm reading what it says. I'm literally reading what it says right here in its verse. I'm literally reading it. How am I misinterpreting? I'm not. I'm reading what it says. It says, if you believe, you'll lay hands on them and they'll believe. And then you know what people then do? And I've seen Hebrews do this as well. Then they'll say, well, I don't see, brother, I don't believe in the New Testament at all. See, that's another backdoor people try to take, because it gets too hot. They don't have anything. They don't have a rebuttal. They don't have an answer to this. So then they'll just dismiss the whole New Testament then. Well, I'm just about law, statutes, and commandments. That's all I'm about. That whole New Testament thing, I don't believe that. Well, you need to get with your brethren and your sister and then have a conversation, because you got half of y'all saying you believe in, the other half you saying you don't. That's confusion. How is that an awakening? How is that an awakening when you got confusion? Let me say that again. How is that an awakening when you got one half saying they believe one part of the Bible and the other half saying they believe the other half of the Bible? How is that an awakening? What are you awakening to? What are you awakening to? What are you awakening to? I know people don't want to hear this, but it's what it is. It's what it is. And it's what it is. It's just plain and simple. It's exactly what it is. And then I had this one here. I said, this is from a meme I found, and I know many of y'all seen this. It said Jesus was the name of a slave ship captioned by Sir John Hawkins in 1564 by appointment of the Queen of England. Many of y'all are aware that, there was a slave ship called the good ship Jesus. And then I said, imagine Negroes being so determined to make Jesus black that they forget a slave ship was named after him. And this goes back to what I was saying. You got black folks that are so consumed with trying to portray Jesus as someone that looks like them, they miss all this other stuff. And they do it intentionally. Let me share with you a part of our own journey. And then what we'll do is we'll open up the phone line and have you call in. Okay. I meant to start off with this, but here we are, and then we'll just do it. I was sitting here thinking, because I was reflecting today about, this friend of mine, a guy I went to school with, who passed away. And, because, when I was young, I went to a Christian school, which was attached to a church that we were members of. And so it made me think about, recall some of the things. I remember when this church here that we went to, I told you, I, for the most part, grew up in an Assembly of God church, which was mostly white, but you had other people in there too that were not. But anyway, when we joined that church, it really felt like an extension of family. It really did. It was like an extension of family. It was like, man, I remember, my mom always having people she could call, or people they can call her, or my dad likewise. It was an extension of family for real. I remember once a year we would have the church would get together and have a big cookout. Or was that once or twice a year? It was like once or twice a year. I can't remember now. I think they did it for 4th of July, and they also did it for Labor Day. So yeah, I think it was twice a year. And then Thanksgiving, they would have like a big Thanksgiving thing. They would just buy a bunch of turkeys and everybody come in the gymnasium and, eat Thanksgiving meal together and all that. And then they'll have like different people, different members of different families will get together and do skits and stuff like that. And, if someone was pregnant, you always had people there to help them out and all that stuff. So it was like family. It really was. That's the one thing I can say about our church experience, is that it did give you a sense of family. It did give you, which was like a support system, and that's one thing I could say positive when it comes to church. Then fast forward, things happen, where, opinions changed, you start waking up a little bit to what's really going on, and you start asking questions. And then once you start asking the wrong questions, then all of a sudden you see just how much family you are, and next thing you know, those same people all of a sudden act very afraid to even talk to you. And the phone calls stop happening. If they see you in the grocery store, if they see you on the street, they go the other way. And that's how it was. I remember I was on, and then this was like years later. I'm going back pretty far now. I was on Facebook. I'm trying to remember. I don't know how active I was on Facebook, but this is like early days of Facebook. I didn't really connect that much with the people that I went to that church. I didn't really connect too much with those people on Facebook. I think I was more or less connecting with people that I knew currently at that point in my life. And there was like maybe a couple of people I connected with, but everybody else I wasn't that interested in connecting with them. And that's it. That's just how life is. And so, but I remember my mom telling me, okay, Dwayne, you probably going to get a deluge of a lot of people from this church reaching out to you for friend requests. She said, because they're running some kind of contest. I guess it was with Campbell Soup or something like that, where if you get an X amount of followers to sign this or whatever, and then they'll win a money prize. It was something like that. And all of a sudden, sure enough, she was absolutely right. I was getting all of these friend requests from these different ones. And, my nosy self, I wanted to see how these people were doing. And because I haven't seen these names and faces in years and all of that. So I was like accepting pretty much all the friend requests. I wasn't giving them no money or nothing like that. I was just accepting the friend request. And then, then I would see periodically on my timeline, it come up, this little contest they were doing. I was like, okay, whatever. And then fast forward, the pastor's son, he got in some serious legal trouble. I mean, like he was in New York Times legal trouble. It was crazy. Basically, long story short, he was going, and I think it was in New York Times. He basically was selling off-market stuff to different companies, IT equipment to different companies. So let's say, for example, if a company signed a contract with him to buy 1,000 iMacs, or MacBook Pros, he would go to another a non-Apple manufacturer and buy them on the cheap and then sell it to them. Well, you can't do that. You can't do that at all because it's going to come out, but it's wrong, because it's false advertising. And so anyway, he was doing this and got caught and got in some very serious trouble with that. And I think he did some jail time on that, if I'm not mistaken. And so I don't know if I was looking for the article or someone sent it to me. I can't remember. But anyway, I just said, you know what? I said, now I got all of these former church people, on my timeline now. I said, all I'm going to do is just post the article. That's it. I'm not going to say anything. So I'm just going to post the article. And that's what I did. I just simply posted the article. And man, when I tell you Satan and all of his demons came at me, I had people DMing me and, telling me, you better take that down. And how dare you do this? And this is very shameful and all. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I just posted a link on my timeline, okay? I didn't post it on your stuff. Now, it may have shown up on your stuff, but this is my timeline. I didn't say anything about it. I'm just posting the article. And man, these folks came in at me, and it got to the point where they literally, there was one guy in particular I went to school with, had to bring my deceased father into it. And then that's when I said, you know what? This is too much. This is too much. And at that point, I began to cut them because they were moving like a cult. And it helped me to understand when all of that happened, I realized that's exactly what it was. It was a cult. And so that's that church experience, okay? Then we went from there. Let's see, I moved down to Georgia where we were part of a church planting team. This was through like some youth ministry. My wife and I, we weren't married at that time, but that's where we met. We became part of this church. It was a youth ministry that turned into a church. And which is, when you see that, that's not a good thing. But anyway, fast forward without going through all the details, there were some changes, radical changes they started making. Then we started waking up and realized, hold on, this is going way south. We didn't sign up for this. You start asking the wrong questions. And it was literally the same thing. We had all of these family members that was all there for us. And man, we would be doing all kinds of stuff, not just in church, but outside of church and all of that. And we just, good old time. I mean, a lot of wonderful memories. But the day we decided, and I'll never forget it, when we decided, we said, you know what? Enough is enough. We're going to leave. The phone calls immediately stopped. Immediately stopped. And these same people that we thought were lifelong friends all of a sudden dropped us just like that. We didn't drop them. They dropped us. And they just kept on moving. I was like, wow, how can you, like, for me, that was the hardest thing to comprehend. Because for me, I think I was looking for a deeper reason why you would drop someone like that. I didn't, the cult thing, it wasn't really clicking. Even at my second go around, it still wasn't clicking. But I was like, how do you just drop? Like I spent maybe up to a year trying to figure that out, because I was like, and someone said, were you hurt? I mean, yeah, I was hurt, but it was like, at the same time, I was trying to make sense of it. You know what I mean? Like, why, how would you just drop somebody like that? And, and then for years and years, a lot of these people, they still act like they didn't know me. And then every now and then they would come in and I'll have someone call me or whatever. But I was like, there's no picking up where we left off. You dropped me. Okay. You don't just come in through the back door and be like, hey, how you? No. We don't do that. I'm not doing that. I don't hate you, but you're going to have to come correct. You know what I'm saying? So that was that experience. Then we went to, from that church, we went to New Birth, Missionary Baptist Church. Now that church was a very, because it was so large, even though we became members of that church, it wasn't really a family thing. It really wasn't, we didn't have that connection that we had with those other churches. it was just too big. I mean, we went through the new members class and all that stuff, but we really didn't know anybody. So we were there maybe 2 years, and then we left. And then when we left, that's when we moved out to the West Coast, out to California, and we got connected with a ministry there. Totally different kind of ministry. It was like a prophetic movement kind of thing. It was like, this is very white church, but they were very open and friendly and nice. And again, we said, wow, we've actually found family. We've actually found some family, we have shared with them our experiences and the hurt and the pain and all that stuff that we are going through, explained all of that, and they welcomed us in. And man, I mean, it was really something. I mean, they really embraced us and all of that. And so it wasn't until there was a case where we had they had a Bible school that they established. And, I went to that school and graduated, got my little piece of paper and all that. Right. And then, but then they said, I guess they were so impressed with us or whatever. They said, hey, listen, we would like for you to be the admin for this school. And so I was like, all right, cool. They said, we'll give you salary, all that. Right. And they gave us a view behind the scenes on how these ministries actually work. And man, the stuff that I could tell you, with some of these people that are big today, when I tell you, I see how these guys move, it hasn't changed. I mean, these people, they say one thing behind the scenes. That was the eye opener for me, how these people move and what things they say behind the scenes. I never in a million years thought like that, And so anyway, so I became the administrator, this nationally known person that I will keep them nameless for now. His wife wasn't so happy with that. And so she was behind the scenes. Like, we would have meetings with the students, just be talking, because it was admin meetings, but it was also kind of a mentor, kind of position. And then she always felt like she had to be in the midst, behind the scenes, because it was like, you're not going to take this away from us. I'm saying, what are you hell you talking about? Nobody's taking nothing from you. What are you talking about? I'm just doing my job. And she was like, you ain't going. It was like that kind of stuff, right? And she behind the scenes, I'll be in the office trying to do work, trying to piece together what they, the work that, because it was just, I was thrown into the position. So I had to make sense of the work that was left, making sense of the office and all that. And she would literally be riding her bike past the office, peeking in, all that kind of stuff. So we start seeing all this stuff. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? And then they started slowly kind of like cutting things off, limiting our access to certain things. And I said, you know what? It's one thing, you could treat me like elephant dookie. I don't, that's me. I'll take it. But don't mess my family up. You know what I mean? Don't mess my family up on this. By this time, our salary, my rent, all that stuff was tied to all of this stuff. And now you're just slowly like etching us out. We were living at that time, we're living in Pasadena. And so they were slowly kind of pushing us out and not really telling us anything. And they just were kind of left us to hang and die, and dry up. And that's it. And hope that we just went away, which we eventually had to do. So we had to gather what we can gather and ended up leaving. And these same people who welcome us into their homes and all of that stuff, no calls. It just dropped. So I'm sharing all of that to share with you. I really feel like we're healed from that now. But I think about it every now and then. It doesn't drive me at all in anything I do. But it took time to get healed from that. But I'm sharing that to say, now this is 3 examples I'm giving you when it comes to the church structure, Bible-based structure. In 3 cases, in my experience, what I'm describing to you, it is straight up 100% cult. It's a cult. And it always operates like a cult. I was just driving today. I passed by a church. I said, I know there's some good people in there. But the way the church system is designed to take these good people and to keep them under their control and to suck everything out of them to where they have nothing to offer or to give to people outside of their four walls. That's what the system is basically designed to do. And so that's been my experience, but it's not just my experience. It's many people that are out here who have been through church. And, for those who maybe not have gone through church, maybe you've seen it secondhand. You know what I mean? But I'm sharing all that to say that to ask you this, at what point do you begin to be honest with yourself when it comes to the Bible, when it comes to the system that the Bible endorses, which is the church? At what point do you become honest with yourself? Again, we talked about, and I'll say this again for those all the way in the back. We are not saying that there's not any good things mentioned in the Bible. You will find truth mentioned all in the Bible. You'll find truth in other books as well. But for us to turn a blind eye and not dare question these things, we're doing ourselves a great disservice. I took some time, and we're getting ready to open the phone lines in a moment. I took some time and I actually looked up healings that take place within Islam. Believe it or not, you do have people who give Allah praise and honor for healing them. And I would have put together a little list of videos that you can watch for that. I looked at Hinduism, and there are people who, same thing, they have all kinds of chants that are dedicated to praise and not praise and worship, but to healing and getting rich and all that stuff too, right? I am not endorsing any of these things, just so we're very clear here. But my point is that what Christianity has done is made us think that in your bubble, which is kind of like what I have right here, that's the whole world, that's it. When in reality, you got people all over the world that are in their own bubbles and they have their own experiences as well. So it's almost like you have all these different bubbles that are out here that are within one big bubble called the matrix, little matrices within a much larger matrix. That's kind of what it is. And in the way that the only way that you're going to break out of this is that you're going to have to start clearing the deck of all the things that are not true. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of our people are too afraid to do that. One, because you're up of age and you've been on the way for a very long time, and that's all you know, and you're not going to change anything. Then we got the other stuff where people, you just are afraid of change, period. Your natural question would be, well, who do we worship now? What do we call his name? See, when you respond like that, as I've said many times, you're actually responding as if a slave, like that's what a slave would ask. Well, who's going to be my master now? I don't know who's going to be my master. What's our book now? If this ain't the Bible, what book do I follow? That kind of thing. Your number one objective, and I'll just say for us here, is clearing out the lies. You want to know what we believe? That's our belief system right now. We understand and we know when you look at the intricacies of how we are created, how our bodies are created, how nature outside out here, the different trees and birds and stuff, all this stuff, and how they just work all together like that. We know that there is a master creator that's out there that put these things together. That we do know. That is established as far as we're concerned. But as far as anything else beyond that, our number one focus right now is clearing out the lies. And the one, like I said, again, that sticks out to me the most is the two scriptures that we went through, is this promise of healing. And people don't want to deal with that. So they just kind of fade and go somewhere else where they can get their back rubbed. But we're not going to do that here. We're going to be honest here because we have to be. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm gonna do now, and maybe this won't be too long, but like I'm here. I'm gonna connect my phone here, and I'll put on some music. And what I'll do is I'm gonna have the phone line open. And what I would like for you to do, if you have never called before, that's who we want to call today. If you've already called, today is not your day, okay? Because we want to give people fair opportunity to call in and, hey, make your case as far as, hey, listen, why you still believe, despite everything I said, why do you still choose to believe that the Bible is 100% accurate in everything that, and why do you still stand on being a Christian? Why do you, as you can see, it's multiple questions here. You can answer any one of these. Well, why do you still claim to be a Hebrew? Really make your case. Okay. Now, again, we're not arguing here. Okay. I'm not going to argue you down. It's a lovely day out here, at least where I am. And I don't want to wreck the day by yelling at anybody. I'm just not that person. Okay. I'm not that person. Okay. So you'll be safe and just simply calling in or whatever. And I do this just for the record, because when I every now and then I get people that'll leave a comment and says, I'm confused. I don't know what I'm giving you the opportunity. And I've just spent almost an hour letting you know where we are. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, again, like always, like clockwork, those same people, they just seem like they fade away because they don't want to face the truth. They don't. So we allow it. So the entertainment that we're settled with is, up here, arguing about DNA and arguing all this. Nobody got time for that, man. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now, let me get myself set up here. Let me put on some music here real quick, and then I'll get the phone number up. And then once I do that, then we can go ahead and get started here. Okay, let me see if I can find something I can put on right quick. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, we'll open up the phone lines for you. You come on in and chat for a little bit. Okay. Did I get in trouble with this song? Hold on, let me see. Let me put on. All right, I'll just put that on. It'll just take a moment here for me to get it up, okay? There you go. Okay, so the phone line is open. And remember, I said phone line. So if you're seeing that I'm talking with somebody, wait until I hang up and then you can call after that, okay? But don't call while I'm still talking to that person, because I ain't gonna switch over, okay? I won't do that. So I'm here. If you've never called in before, this is your opportunity to do so. I am here. Ask whatever questions you have of me, or if you want to comment on something with the post I just read to you, feel free. You're more than welcome to comment on that. You can agree, disagree. It doesn't matter. Okay. We're just adults here, and we're going to have an adult conversation, and that's how it should be. Just plain and simple. So anyway, giving y'all an opportunity to call in. You see the phone number on your screen is 323-696-0250. If you call in and if you're trying to call in and you're not watching the live version of this, it means that I'm not live, and it means that I ain't gonna pick up. Okay, it's simple as that. Because I'll get people to call this number and think that they still gonna get me. You ain't getting me on this number, okay? Because after the live is over, that's it. That is 100% it. So I'm here. If you want to give a call in, again, if it's your first time only, first timers, I want to hear from you. If you have any questions at all, as far as this whole journey thing is concerned, where you going? I'm confused about what you're saying. It's something you said. It's just, I'm just so confused. I don't know what to do, that kind of thing. We got people out here. You are the spiritual head of your home. There are wives out here that I know that are the spiritual head of their homes, and so how do how do I handle this? I don't know, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. Husbands, you may be the other way around, where you got a spouse that ain't really, you got one spouse that's heavily in the church thing or heavily in the Hebrew thing, and you're not. You kind of starting to understand and see some things, but you don't know, how do I talk to them? How do I deal with this? How do I handle that? You know what I mean? And maybe you got questions about a particular passage of scripture. I don't know everything. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Okay. I don't know everything, but sometimes it's good just to be heard, and you could just take it from there, and then maybe we can come up with something. Okay. But I do want to give you the opportunity, if you want to call in, you are more than welcome to do that. And plain and simple, if it's something I've said that's not clear, you can ask away. I'm, again, making myself available to clear anything up. You may not even, I was going to say, if you are someone that says, I can't stand you, but I want to call in, you could do that too. Just be respectful. Just be respectful. That's fine too. And I will be the same. But if you bring bad energy, you're going to get it in return. It's very simple. Okay. Okay. But anyway, while we're waiting for someone to call in, let's see. So I covered somberty. I talked about that already. Looks like someone's trying to call in. All right, here we go. Let's see. Hello, caller. Can you hear me? All right, hold on, caller. Can you hear me? Hold on. Let me try. Stay on there. Don't get off. Hold on. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, there we go. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
All right. What can I do for you today? What's on your mind?
Well, man, is this live?
It is.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. What's on my mind?
You want to turn that volume down though in the back though.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna walk over here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally with you on the Bible, thing, and I'm watching you live right now, and it seems like you're talking with someone else. I don't know how you do that.
No, I'm talking to you.
Okay. And also, I had ordered some products because I order from you every month, you and your wife, and I'm happy with the prices and everything that y'all do. But I didn't get some of the stuff that I ordered.
Okay, two things. One, let me just ask you this: did you email anything? Did you email Sombertree? Did you email to let them know that?
No, you want me to do that?
Yeah, that would be a good start. Okay. And then I would say definitely do that. And then also too, for this conversation here, we're not talking Sombertree. Okay. We do want I want that to be taken care of, but we're not talking Sombertree in this conversation. So do you have anything to contribute to this conversation that we're having today?
the only thing that I contribute to the conversation that you had having today is about the name Jesus. I mean, I'm doing some research on it, and it's it sounds an awful lot like Zeus,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that the Romans wrote, the New Testament, and you think that might be why his name sounds like that?
Okay, let me answer that for you, but I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. Okay, I appreciate the answer, the question. Okay.
Okay,
All
then.
right. Thank you. Make sure you email. All right. Make sure you send an email to that. Go to sombertree.com and then go to that contact section and email and let them know. All right. But I'm going to go ahead and answer your question now.
Okay.
All right. Take care now. Okay. So he's asking about do I think there's some connection between Zeus, the name of Zeus, and Jesus? On the cover, I would say no. I would say no. Did the name sound similar? Yes. But I think when in some of the other videos that we've done, we've looked at other other characters, mentioned, everyone from I didn't cover Adam and Eve yet, but Adam and Eve, you can include them in there. Enoch is one. Moses, Joseph, Melchizedek is another. All of these different individuals that we have looked at on this platform are individuals that basically I'm sorry to break the news to you, there's no historical record of them even existing. What does exist are stories that predated them, or this what's written in the Bible that are extremely almost lockstep to what Moses had claimed to do, or what Joseph had claimed to do. And a lot of their story reflects stories that go back, thousands of years before the Bible was even written. And we've covered that. So when it comes to Jesus is more of a Greek / Roman invention. As I'm looking at it right now, that's what I'm coming up with. Because the question I keep asking is, how is it that this individual did all of this stuff, but there's magically like no tangible record, like real record at all, except a minor mention here or minor mention there, but that's it. I mean, you're talking someone healing all these folks, whole cities, and there's really nothing. You know what I'm saying? What I will say to that is, I'm not saying he did not exist. What I'm saying is it demands more investigation. That's what I'm saying. So I'm not there to say, no, he didn't exist at all. I'm not there. But it does demand further investigation, especially when you look at the fact that, again, the promises of greater works and us not seeing that. Because if someone, I don't care who it is, it can be Amazon. If they sell me a product and it's not doing what that they said it's going to do, I'm going to have questions about that product, right? Well, it should be no different when we look at Jesus or anything else, right? It should be no different. It doesn't make me a bad person. I'm just asking a question. That's it. You know what I mean? So the connection to Zeus, it could be, and it's a plausible thing, but you're going to find that there's a lot of influence. I would, if anything, we kind of left off on this a few weeks ago. Or a couple of weeks ago, there's a lot stronger case for Dionysus than it is Zeus. And we've talked about that. And if you've looked into who the god Dionysus is and all that, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But go back to that video where we actually talked about that. We've kind of laid some serious groundwork on that. And man, it's hard to say. It's you can't dismiss it. You can't dismiss it. Because again, Dionysus, that his whole story was written. It predated who we call Jesus today. And here you have Jesus doing the same thing supposedly Dionysus was doing. And it's really something. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that. But again, so for the people in the back, I'm not saying Jesus didn't exist at all. I'm not saying it at all. But what I am saying is that it does demand, if you're going to stake your life on this, it should demand further investigation. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, all right. Well, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Phone line is open. You can call me. All right. Phone numbers on the screen, 323-696-0250. And yeah, give us a call there. Let me see if I can put some other music on. And I am waiting. Give me all an opportunity. Okay. Especially for those that like writing those theses in the comment section. Where is you? Where are you? Where are you? I'm asking. All right, here we go. We got another phone call here. Let's see. Let's open that phone line up. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
All right. All right. How can I help you today? What's up?
Okay. Well, first of all, with all respect, as I approach this question, I have a little bit of background because I used to follow you, or I remember seeing several videos of you when you were in the Israelite persuasion. Mm-hmm. So this question is primarily dealing with what we're actually seeing unfold, which is in the scriptures.
What? Say that again. What did you say?
What we're seeing unfold, as far as
mm-hmm.
So let me say it like this: I can understand that the lion pens of the scribes and people are touched, and that there are stories that predate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that I can't get past is a group of people being hated by all those on this earth and being at the bottom. People coming in here that rise high above them. There tend to be this awakening, this spiritual awakening, not only on the African continent, but kind of globally.
Mm-hmm.
And it just lines up so clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the details of what that looks like, as far as what we're supposed to do, whether somebody's standing on the street corner or observing the Ten Commandments or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
The question that I say, or that I'm asking is, have you abandoned the idea, or is this really just a search for greater truth?
Good question. Appreciate that. You can stay on if you want, or you can hang up at any time as I try to answer this. The short answer is, as I have been looking at this, I honestly think, because as you mentioned, my family and I, we were within the Hebrew space for quite a bit of time. And that is something that I held on to because, especially about the, being hated all over the world and that kind of stuff. And that is, that really resonated big time. But like I said, the thing I can, I'm very grateful for. One of the things that I learned while I was in the Hebrew world was the value of never stop investigating, never stop asking questions. And by doing so, as I began to look at that whole claim closer, especially like Deuteronomy 28 and all of that, I began to see some holes in that, like let's get to the whole thing about the, being hated all over the world. Well, that it can apply to a lot of other groups as well. It's one of those things that you can, if you strain hard enough, you can make it apply to pretty much anybody. Now, the Jewish people, regardless of what you may feel about them and what you may, your personal opinion or my personal opinion on it, that is something they stand on. Now, when you look at their history of them being thrown out in all these different countries, they can make that argument and say, well, they were throwing us out because they hated us. But if you dig a little bit deeper, you'll find out, okay, well, why were they throwing you out? Why did they hate you? And it's typically because they were involved in a whole bunch of things, right? Another thing is when it comes to, yes, we're hated by all of these different people, but it's not just, but see, what that does is it streamlines it, because when you listen to the question, like you just asked, I think a lot of times we try to make it applicable only to people in America. You know what I mean? But it's also because you had mentioned that some, we're hated in Africa and all of that. It's true to a measure, but they got their own reasons, right? Why they hate us. And the other thing is we really hate ourselves. And the whole part of selling each other, and I know I'm throwing different things, but there's another part in this whole, how we match is, how this, there was a teaching, Pastor Darby, and he was by all accounts, I mean, I think he was a good man and all of that. And he was teaching what he knew at that time. So I have no ill will or anything towards him, his family. I got to say all this because if you dare question him, this goes back to what I was saying earlier, then people automatically assume, oh, you hate him or you hating on him. I'm not. I'm just simply re-examining what was told to us. He was the one that kind of brought out the whole Negro land kind of teaching. And in that, what was left out was the fact that there were people within that region that were actually selling us, because he was claiming that this one area, Ouida, was actually the kingdom of Judah, but it wasn't. And that was not Judah, had nothing at all to do with the biblical Judah, absolutely nothing. But on one hand, you got Hebrews who will claim that that's our people. Then when I bring up, well, if that's our people, then why were they selling us into slavery? I never get a straight answer for that. So there's things, if you really take the time and start looking at this, number one, you can make the Bible say whatever you want it to say. That's number one. That goes with anything. But specifically as it pertains to us and how we fit in it, there were enough things in it to make me see that this ain't really talking about us. The final thing I would say is this. I think the notion to think that these same people that whipped us and raped us and did all these horrible things to us somehow are going to, after they finish whipping us, they're going to wipe the blood and the sweat from that splattered on their face after beating the hell out of us. All of a sudden, they're going to come and say, now here's your history book now. Make sure you take good care of it. That's just not, no possibility at all. I think it would take a great stretch of imagination to think that that's something that actually happened. So it's little things like that kind of add up for me that says, you know what, the biblical narrative, I don't accept as it pertains to us. I'm not one to align that and say that they're talking about us. I don't see that at all. However, how do I view black people, period? I definitely believe that there is something very unique and very special about us. And I don't just say that because I'm a black person. I say that because when I look at our culture and I look at what we have done collectively over the years, I'm talking about all the good things, obviously, there's no other people on the planet that has been able to accomplish and to do and to influence the way we've been doing, even under the amount of duress that we've been under as a people. And then when I look at our spiritual history, you'll see how just, again, whether if people want to get in African spirituality or not, I look at it just out of just understanding it, not being a participant in it. But when I look at it and see how detailed and how it just kind of aligns with nature and all of that, it makes me understand even on a greater level that our people were connected on so many different levels. how dare we limit that to a single book that was given to us by one of the worst oppressors in modern history? That's insane to me. I much rather pursue the greater truths that are out there, and hopefully if I don't figure it out on this side, it'll definitely make more sense when we cross over to the other side. But that's kind of where I am on that.
Well, thank you for that. I can tell you that I definitely had not necessarily a rebuttal, but a comment. But I wanted to make sure that you got out, your full thought.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I look at this, so I grew up in a Pentecostal church as well,
Mm-hmm.
and then I came to the knowledge that we were the original people.
Mm-hmm.
I also looked into or started the search of looking into, because there's nothing wrong with it, taking in knowledge. It's a matter of how you deduce or how you calculate that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that I was seeing it was along the lines of there's so much concerted effort
Mm-hmm.
against us, or hiding information or keeping information from us. And even in the book that you speak of, the Bible, there's a lot of information in there that they really couldn't even, they gave us their narrative of what it said. And I believe even changed some things, right? Regarding, what's in there and how they wanted us to approach it.
Mm-hmm.
And even psychological efforts went into it to allow us to see it in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe from a spiritual aspect, there's things that we can see and say, nah, that doesn't seem right. It's almost kind of like that Jonah video you did.
Mm-hmm.
There's some things that don't quite line up right. But there are other things that are in that book that we can see that they can't see, that we can say that is applicable to a particular group of people that were scattered to the four corners. And even the fact that, you have people that's arguing whether we were here already,
Mm-hmm.
or was brought over and things like that. And for me, in the research I've done thus far, it's not an either or,
Mm-hmm.
it's a both.
Mm-hmm.
Because first of all, the one thing that I can say that I appreciate about what you are doing is it's causing people to come out of the fear to at least begin to investigate.
Mm-hmm.
But where I will differ with you, but where I'll respectfully differ with you,
Mm-hmm.
is that as much as I want to, and it's not fear,
Mm-hmm.
as much as I want to discard something, I've read enough to see how, my background was a police officer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I worked for the government for many years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I see how, certain things are done. And from an investigative standpoint, it's kind of like follow the money, but then also follow, this aspect of spirit.
Mm-hmm.
What drives a person to do what it is that they do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is a clear concerted effort when we look around us today that there is a satanic, evil, very much so believing. And the thing is that it is on such a magnified scale that they can't be just doing this
Mm-hmm.
as the opposite of something that is a joke.
Mm-hmm.
They fear something. And so what it is they fear and how so much effort is being put forth against a particular people. Even the lady from Israel talked about, the American Negro is the greatest threat to Israel. Well, why would you say something like that when we have no power, we have no weapons, we have none of these other things? So
Mm-hmm.
I just don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But
Mm-hmm.
I can say that I respect you for, your ability to look outside certain things. Because, Billy Carson says a whole lot of very interesting things, talking about the Emerald Tablets and all these other things. But I think a lot of these things, there's some truth to these things, but it's also a distraction because the other things that actually are applicable to us that I feel, no one else has to feel this way, but those things that I feel that are applicable are lining up without fail. But where we miss it is we are expecting it to happen under our own understanding of what's been written in that book. And the book has been tampered with. But there's a spiritual aspect of this thing that if we would align ourselves, mind, body, and spirit, and, I've always felt like I should be able to verify in nature of the Creator what it is we should be doing, because that doesn't lie. Men have always used religion to control people. I get that. But then there's still a particular people. I don't care, how other people see it. The evidence is there before my eyes. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
And so there has to be a reason for that. And there's been so many things. There's been so many declassified documents, and even in how, preventing the rise of the Black Messiah, and even the code names that they called, certain things, where we consider the flat Earth and whatnot. So there's a lot of information out there, and I agree with you, and it can confuse the hell out of people. But for me, I feel like if we stick to the basics, there's nothing wrong with learning, but whether this was true or not, it still holds merit for me. As Solomon said, you could, basically keep it simple, stupid, because, all the knowledge in the world is only going to bring you, especially without being grounded. And here's one thing that I like about what you do as well. You talk about health, right? If we're energy beings, right? If we're energy and frequency and all these other things, and we're polluted, and you can say that the biblical diet or whatever. I don't even want to get into that, but there's proof that our cells, are living, and that they operate and they vibrate, and even diseases, vibrate on a particular frequency. So it's really hard to connect to the divine if we are polluted, in such a way. So, I mean, this conversation can go on forever as far as what we're up against. But again, with like I said, with respect, and I appreciate the channel. But I'm not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I do, however, I am willing to walk this in a way where I observe that which I know there is a creator that has a specific people. Because even if I went back and to deal with the Bill Carson issue, where he's talking about there's different Melachim or different Anunnaki or different races and all this other stuff. At the end of the day, even if we were to utilize even the Bible to even look at some of these things, I used to always ask myself this question: why would you pick us? Out of all these other people, some of these people aren't evil. Why is it just us, right? Well, if you have different beings, because we're actually doing this now on Earth, which is gene editing and CRISPR and all this other stuff, and growing clones and whatnot. So what's to say that hasn't happened already, and that we are created in His image, but yet these other things exist. So like I said, with that, so with that, I won't keep you on the line, but I will say, I respect you, but I just wanted to get my point out there, not in an argumentative way, but just simply with respect, and to let you know that, me personally, I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but I do believe that there is a greater spirituality over religion or over the religiosity of it. But I still believe that particular aspect of what they gave us, because remember, they even removed and gave us the slave Bible, where they removed certain passages because they didn't want us to have that aspect. But once again, they don't move in a particular spiritual aspect that we have encoded in our DNA. And so, like when I read the aspects in the Bible where it said that, we'd be Catholic for a little while, but, we'd be covered, that we would be remembered, and I'm paraphrasing, and in the gods of wood and stone, so to speak. So you're talking about the Kabbalah stone and the wood of the cross, and that's just what I extrapolated from it. And those are the two largest religions that we have been enslaved in. In the Arab slave trade as well as the American slave trade. So again, there's a lot of information out there that people can get into.
Let me ask you this before I let you go, and I appreciate you, coming on and calling and all that, really do. But let me ask you this. Now, one of the things, we've done on this platform is, in order to understand this book, because as it's been established, when our people came over in slavery, we did not have this Bible in our hands. We did not have any scrolls in our hands. Were there some slaves that came over that could speak Hebrew? Yes. And you'll find that in some cases, like there's a case in South Carolina, there's a case, I think, in Georgia, but by and large, we were not speaking Hebrew. Our first introduction to the Bible was by way of slavery. It came from the Europeans and whoever else, the people who were part of the profiteers, if you will, of slavery. That was the first time.
Are you aware, sir, that there were tablets, or actually the Ten Commandments actually found? I think it's like in Utah or something like that, and one of the Indian sites.
I'm not talking Indians. I'm talking about people who came over in slavery on slave ships. That's what I'm talking about.
No, I'm aware.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm sticking to. What they're finding in Utah and all that.
I'm not disagreeing.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. I'm just sticking to slave ships. Okay, you with me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So the people who came over in slavery on slave ships, they were not aware of any Ten Commandments. They were not aware, to what we can see when you look at actual history. They were not aware of Ten Commandments. They were not aware of law, statutes, and commandments. They were not aware of that. And as far as now, you'll find, if you go through some of these cultures, you will find some similarities to what you describe, what's described in the Bible, but they weren't aware of that. So, so if they were not the authors, if they were not the authors of this book that we call the Bible, that means that there were some other authors, which we did come to discover some of those, which, you'll find a lot of it had to do with the Greeks. A lot of it had to do with, there was some, they ain't say Hebrew back then. It was something else. But when you look at these different individuals that were part of it, they were not us. So if we did not write or author this book, how can we say that they wrote something they don't understand, but we do?
Well, my answer to that, and again, this is in full respect of you and your scholarship, but it's no different in my mind than the fact that they learned everything from us. And even if you were to throw the Bible out of it and you go to Kemet and you want to talk about Socrates and all these other people, and those coming out of the Caucasus and being taught, we even have,
but let me stop. I'm sorry. Respectfully, let me stop you for a second. When we go through the creation story, when we look at pretty much most of the Torah, we won't find Africa in there. What you'll find is ancient Mesopotamia. What you'll find is ancient cultures and traditions that are way beyond where our people came from. So again, they're writing about their culture. They're writing about their practices. It doesn't matter what color their skin was, because that's irrelevant, because we're talking about a book that was written exclusively out of their own cultural expressions. So for us to blanketly say that they learned it from us, I don't think that's true at all. Even when we look at Jesus, when he sent his apostles, he said, go into all the world and preach the gospel. They didn't come anywhere near where the people who were sent out in the transatlantic slave trade and also in the Islam slave trade, they didn't come near to that. All the apostles, if you trace where they went, they stayed within the Mesopotamia, ancient Mesopotamia, and also Mediterranean area. So again, it goes back to, we're talking their text, their cultural expressions. They're referencing their gods. They're not referencing anything at all that came from us. So again, I'm asking very specifically, how can we establish that they got it from us when you're able to historically trace to see that everything they were writing was actually coming from their own culture?
Well, there's still a lot to be learned and known. The things that I've looked into, or the books that I've read, or we can't say that we both have had the same experience. That's why I don't discount the things that you say. But in those things, and me putting the puzzle together thus far in my journey, that's why I love the names, the journey. When we even look at DNA, and they talk about the Asian and the Caucasian, having Neanderthal DNA. Me personally, I'm well aware that there's more to the story than what we've been told.
Absolutely.
But from what I can extrapolate thus far in my journey,
yes,
is that there is information. There's information inside that even discusses their downfall or the direction that this thing would go, and unless they're using like I said, talking to demons or AI, dark magic that created all this stuff prior to, and actually directed it to go this way, and just use us as pawns in this, because we would be moving in a particular vibration if they did all the things that were instructed, in that book. Then so be it. But that was a very intelligent way of designing something that would also talk about their destruction, their fall, the new world order, and everything else. So again, thank you for the conversation. Thank you for the conversation,
and thanks for calling.
But I will definitely check in once in a while to see what you have going. But I will continue this walk.
Yes.
At least from the aspect of as what I would consider an Abry, an Israelite. So,
and again, thank you,
brother.
You take care, and thanks again for calling. I really appreciate you and the conversation. You take care now. Yeah, that's a good conversation. And again, the goal here is not to get you to agree 100% on what I'm saying, and what I'm saying is 100% right. And then if whatever you say, it doesn't matter at all. We don't do that here. Okay. Like he said, that's his journey. That's his conclusion. That's his choices. That's his beliefs and all of that. And that's totally fine. That's totally fine. I'm not going to get on here now. I hung up on him and say, now see where this brother was going off. Is it? No, ain't nobody got to do that. Just like I had to figure things out on my own, he's going to have to do the same thing. Just like you got to do the same thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I appreciate him calling in, and the phone number, as you can see, is still on the screen. If you would like to call in, and, again, the centerpiece, I guess, of this conversation, really the questions I'm throwing out is in light of, the things I know we brought up, and it's not just us, but this information's been out here. Oh, someone else is calling. I'll get back to that. Let me just get to this call. Hey, caller, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
All right. I'm doing good today, man. I got 3 men that have called me today. So I'm doing really good right now. So go fire away. What you got for me today?
Yes, sir. This is Christopher.
Okay, Christopher, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine. I'm the one that had the questions to you about information on pertaining to the Savage, the videos.
Oh yeah, hey brother. Oh, good to hear from you. Good to hear from you. How you doing, man?
Yeah. And I'm doing just fine. I turned it on. I'm in here cleaning up the kitchen. I said, you know what? Let me see if he on right now.
Yeah.
And I said, man, perfect timing because right now I'm dealing with family pertaining to this here, pertaining to who we are and historical records.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, Brother Dwayne, they are fine as me all eras. But I tell you this here, you cannot go around or sweep up under the rug historical records. You can't do it.
You can't.
And to asking questions, and that's what we never done coming out of the Sunday church and going into the Hebrew Israelite. And I said, once I saw you and your wife, and you said, "Hey, we can't move down this road no more without asking certain questions." I've been told from my brothers, they tell me, "Man, what doctrine you're on?" I said, "So asking questions is a doctrine."
Right.
It's not a doctrine. You got to ask questions, and I love the way you put it as the starting point. The starting point is when you was in slavery, your ancestor was in slavery, you was given a book. You start there. And I just used that and I said the same thing to them. And they were just quiet. I said, you have to start there and move and work your way. I said, and I told them, I said, it's truths and there are not, and there are some truths in the Bible, and there are that is not true. I have the right to ask those questions. I'm doing my checklist. I gave them one example. I said, okay, Bible talks about the rainbow. Okay, I see the rainbow when it comes out. It was recorded that, hey, rainbow is a sign. I can see this with my own eyes. Okay, let me check that off. I don't have to go and question that unless I come into contact on some more information about it. But right now, I can stand on that. So they didn't say anything. They never asked me anything about this. So we was moving on. But it was, when I say we was up to like 3-something this morning.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, you gotta do that. You gotta, just on even the most basic a level, it's okay to ask questions, and we need to investigate this. It's something you mentioned about you mentioned the slave Bible, and I meant to mention this earlier. A lot of ever since that came out, I think there's a museum in DC, if I'm not mistaken. It's somewhere. And they have this slave Bible where, again, as the gentleman that I just spoke to prior to you had mentioned, that there was a Bible that was out that left out certain stories because they didn't want to put in our minds. They didn't want to give us hope. So basically, for example, they included the story of Joseph going into slavery, but they left out Moses and the Israelites leaving slavery. They left that part out. And so what our people like to do is that we'll hear this one story and say, well, see, they gave us a Bible and they left this stuff out. See, they were trying to hide stuff from us. As I just said to you, that's the reason why they hid that. But that wasn't in every case. In most cases, our people had access to the entire Bible. This is why you'll see, many, Africans that were brought over as slaves would name themselves Moses, Joshua. They would name themselves after these very people that were in these stories that were banned in the slave Bible. So we had access to this other Bible. The slave Bible is only a very narrow, small case where in certain plantations that was issued out. That wasn't like standard issue on every, plantation. That was in some cases. Most cases where we were allowed to get our hands on the Bible, in many cases it was in fact the whole Bible. And we would come up with song, Go Down Moses and all of that. Well, we couldn't sing Go Down Moses if we had the slave Bible because it wasn't in there. And but these are like little nuggets like that we got to dispel. And, when it comes to it, because people will say, will mention the slave Bible as if every slave had a copy of the slave Bible. No, that was just a small cases where you did have that. But most of the times when we were allowed to get our hands on the Bible, it was in fact the entire Bible. And I wanted to state, you had mentioned that, and I said, oh, you know what? I wanted to make sure I mentioned that for the people. But go ahead, man. What you got for me?
And then this is the two things. Back to and it wasn't a debate with my brothers. I know I just lit a fire up on my younger brother, because he is the one that just to fast forward to how we got started, how I got started into it. It was through him, through a cousin. Now the cousin have had questions. And the cousin now, he's not doing the Hebrew thing anymore. I've been in contact with the cousin, and he has been giving me information, and I've been doing the research, and I'm like, whoa, okay. Well, this is what it was last night. I didn't use any of, and I have not mentioned you either, because he keep asking, who are you following? Who you on now? Who? Look, I'm doing research. So I used one of the names. It was Israel, and I'll get to that. But I did not use any of the historical information that I've been researching and the things that you have been sharing. I didn't use any of that. I just went into the Bible and asked certain questions, and I couldn't get no answer from both of my brothers. If I go to the historical records, I just hate to say it, the conversation gonna be over. But I'm just showing them that you have to question everything in the Bible now. You just can't sit down, go to the church or wherever they go to, and you're gonna listen to the speaker. And okay, we did that in the Sunday church, saying amen and jumping up. We didn't ask questions. I said this, I'm moving forward with me and my wife. I'm not going to get duped again. I'm going to ask questions, and if it problems me asking questions, it's a problem. But this is the end to it. I put this nugget in a nutshell to them. I said, and that's my younger brother. I told him, I said, I want you to, the word Israel, it's going to be breaking down into three components. IS is RA, Ra, and L. When you go do the research, tell me what you come up with. And he didn't type it in like I told him to, but the way I told him to do it, he typed the whole word Israel. Man, I got the Hebrew God. I said, yeah, you're going to break it down. I have a book. I have a Zunder Van Bible Picture Dictionary where it got all the historical records. It has L in there. It has Ra. So I finally I wanted him to do his research. But he kept, like I said, I lit a fire up on him, because he got up this morning, called me, hey man, I've been looking at this, I tried to find it this way. I said, I told you, just say, who is the God? Who the God El, who is it? Type it in that way. He did it. He never said anything about it. So what I did was, I said, well, let me give him some historical records. I opened my book, took a picture of it, sent it to him. No questions about it. So you don't have no questions. It's historical records.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that. That's very good. The thing is, you don't have to, and for everybody that's watching and listening, you don't have, now here, when we are talking, we're going to bring like, okay, here's this book here, check this source out and all this other stuff here. That's just to kind of let you know, okay, if you want to validate what we're saying, Here are all the sources right here. But that's not something you don't come to a conversation. You don't have to come to a conversation with all of that. You know what I mean? Like you said,
Exactly.
it's just basic asking questions, like what we said earlier in this, in this broadcast. We were just talking about staying on that book, the chapter in Mark, where Jesus is promising that if all you got to do is believe on me, and by believing on me, you're going to be endowed with these powers to lay hands on the sick and then we're recovering. Well, then the question I would ask, and that we ask and we continue to ask is, well, Jesus has said that if only those that believe on me, you're going to have this power. Now, there's a lot of people out here that believe on him and believe and really believe, but they don't have the power. So by his own definition, Jesus, what that's saying is you don't believe him. And so we got to start challenging that and saying, okay, well, wait a minute. I know people who basically they eat, breathed, and slept Jesus. I mean, that's all they knew. And they went to their graves with that, but still never walked in this. And we have to ask the why, and it's okay to ask that. And like the gentleman that was saying earlier, he was saying that, I'm not ready to throw everything out. Nobody's telling you to throw everything out. There's truth in there. And I'm a strong advocate for you to preserve and to keep your Bible. All I'm simply saying is one should feel free to be able to question it. And by doing that, you're going to see it's going to start opening up some things. And that's where people start getting afraid and scared, because it's like, well, wait a minute. I feel like, whoa, this thing kind of rapturing me away from here. Well, you better go with that, because ultimately you're seeking truth. But for now, you stand on truth, and you stand on truth alone. And you're going to find that. You're going to find that in the Bible. You're going to find truth in the Bible. Let me say that again. You will find truth in the Bible. Okay. I've been saying that, but there are things in there that need to be everything, just like anything else that's handed to us. We have to be willing to question it, and then not afraid of the answer. And it's just as simple as that. So I'm glad you're saying that. You don't have to be up there like, okay, here are all my scholarly sources and all that. Because most people, when you're having a basic conversation with somebody, they ain't trying to hear all that. But if you can present it in a way where you're just asking a basic question, they'll hear that. And maybe that'll do something. Maybe it won't. But that's definitely a good start. But that's a good example. I'm glad you shared that. But I appreciate you calling.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Yeah, really appreciate you calling and finally get the chance to hear your voice. And so, hey, listen, give my love to your family and all that. And hey, don't be a stranger. You're more than welcome to come back, okay?
Oh, yeah, I will be back, no doubt.
All right, you take care now. Take care, y'all. Y'all, I want to share with y'all this video real quick that I came across, and then we'll take one more call, and then I think we'll call that today. But this is a video that I came across here, and this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about here, that it's like, you find this kind of mindset within, I'm saying Christianity, but it's really, you'll see this amongst, people who are under that umbrella. So whoever falls under that umbrella, you'll see this. Okay. You may not do it, but this is something you'll definitely see. So let me switch this screen over here and check out what this person is saying here. I was like, oh my goodness. Anyway, let me play the video. Take a listen.
God really does answer prayers, and God really does care about the small things. So something I pray for continuously.
Oh man, I'm not gonna play it. I want to play it. Basically, this dude, because he's got the music in the back, and they'll probably take the video down. But basically, this dude is saying that he has been praying to get clear skin, like glass skin. That's those metrosexual dudes, right? That are out here. They want to get glass skin like women or something. I still don't get the whole glass skin thing. But anyway, he goes on to say that I was really praying that I would get glass skin, because as I'm out here presenting his word, I want to be able to look good, right? He says, so as I was praying, I checked my mailbox and I got this skincare cream, that Amazon sent to me by accident. And I was like, wow. And it's for skin, for people who want glass skin. And he said, and then he says near the end, he says, and what you do anytime you get products like this, you always lay hands on it and anoint it with oil so that, you just anoint it and pray for it in Jesus' name so that it can do what it's supposed to do. And man, I tell you, the miracle of me getting clear glass skin, it came to pass. I'm not making anything up. I would play it for you. I would play it for you, but they got that music on there and I don't want to take, but this is the kind of stuff that you see. Oh, I got, maybe I can share some other stuff I sent to somebody, but this is the kind of stuff that's out here that many of our people, we just make things up as we go when it comes to, interpreting the scriptures and all that to make things fit and all of that. What I'm strongly encouraging our people to do is to stop doing that. All right. Here's another one here. This one I can play. Hold on. Let me get this up here. And then I'll take room for one more call here. Okay. This one doesn't have music on it. Now, yeah, you'll get a kick out of this one here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I want you to take a listen to this one here. This will be going on in some of these prayer groups, y'all. Let me put this up on the screen and, don't be fooled and tricked. You got some sisters out here, they'll say, oh, well, that's some white people. No, I've heard some of y'all out here too be saying some weird, crazy things like this. Take a listen here.
While we're singing this song, I saw Jesus standing here on the platform with an AK weapon. But the AK standing for Almighty Kingdom.
Oh, no.
And he was coming along, and his weapon was coming along across every one of you. And he was aiming in your soul and aiming in your mind. And he was destroying all of those strongholds that have kept you bound. He was causing the freedom that comes from the kingdom. But everything that is in you that is aligned with the kingdom of God remained exactly straight and steadfast as he intended it to be. But there are those of you in this fellowship this afternoon, this morning, that you need to say yes to God to allow that effectiveness to actually come.
If I see someone shooting an AK gun at me, I'll say yes to anything. I'll be like, please don't shoot me. Don't shoot me, sir. Please don't shoot me. Don't shoot me. Get on your knees. Yes, sir. But I'm saying this is the kind of stuff that's out here. All right. Don't get fooled just because you see that video I just showed you. Oh, it's white people on there. They just talk about that's some white people. Oh, no, trust and know. I have seen people all over in Hebrew world, Christian world. They can take scripture and make it sound and be whatever you want it to be. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the danger of it. So again, we're not saying throw it out, but we are saying let's be a little honest here when we are analyzing it, and let's be truthful without feeling like we got to help it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we can't do that. That right there was crazy. But anyway, I'll take one more call. For somebody. So yeah, this is the first time here. We got 3 brothers that called today. So I'll take some sisters too. You don't shy away, because we usually get you. But I'll take some sisters too, or whoever want to call in. You can you can call in. I'm still laughing at that AK. Jesus with an AK. And it meant what she said, Almighty. I said, how long did it take for her to make that one up? How long did it take for her to come up with that one? What she said that meant, what the AK meant? Okay, hold on, let me play.
And he was coming along, and his weapon was coming along, AK weapon. But the AK standing for Almighty Kingdom.
Oh, no. But see, here's the thing. some fool come up in there with a real AK and be like, I'm gonna shoot y'all with the almighty kingdom, and really you shooting folk. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. You got to be careful. You don't know what you're dealing with out here. Almighty kingdom. Okay. But anyway, let's see. Anybody else? I'm here. First time callers only. If you got any questions about anything that we have presented and talked about on this platform, maybe you're a commenter and you've kind of been like in the back and you're like, I don't know, man. I don't know. This guy going to chew me out. He going to throw. No, nobody. We just going to have just a simple, quick conversation. That's it. And at the end of the day, like I told the other brother, what you choose to believe, that's your choice. You know what I'm saying? And nobody's going to say, no, you're not. But we have to be willing enough to be honest with ourselves, you know, and not feel intimidated when someone starts asking you questions. You know what I'm saying? And a question doesn't mean I'm taking you down. It just means you asking questions. That's it. Because you're trying to understand. So anyway, I'm going to give y'all another minute or two. If you have anybody that would like to ask me of anything at all, please don't call me about any orders, okay? Samba Tree orders, because that's not what this line is for, okay? You can email, go to sambatree.com, and if you have any questions pertaining that, you can go to the contact us section and you can ask that way, okay? But not on this call, okay? So let me put some music on and I'll remind you again of, hold on, where that thing is right here. Remind you again of our album that we just released, and I'm working on a new one now. Sound Time has 12 songs on it, $4.99. I mean, that's not breaking the bank at all. At least for most people. And you can get that over on sambatree.com. Also want to remind you too, let me close that out. I'll bring this up here, go to YouTube, and go right here into our channel. We'll go right here. There we go. So yeah, what we also have is a research group. Okay, we have a research group. It's right here. If you want to join it, that's it. Hey, how you doing? Yeah. All right. You can, and this is just the welcome video and all of that. Research group. The purpose of this group, this is not indoctrination. Nobody's twisting your arm to tell you got to believe in what I'm saying, and this is my mini church and all this stuff. No. We're just trading information, and whatever where you just go where the truth is taking you. That's it. It's a good place where you can trade information, you can share information or whatever. And I try to highlight a book of the month. And then we also do, you get access to a library that has like close to 200 books. You get full access to it. So you get access to it. Once you sign up, you get access to it. And you also get access once a week. I try to do research notes. I give it to you. And again, it's simply designed for you to better investigate some of these things, particularly as it pertains to the Bible. This week, I did a video, just a quick overview on how to use AI technology to do better research, and gave some examples on that and gave them some sites that they can go to, some free resources out there. So we talked about that as well. So yeah, I try to do quite a bit on there, and I definitely try not to overcrowd them with a lot of stuff, because, once you get started in this thing, it's a lot of info out there, and you don't want to drown people in it. So I find myself a lot of times slowing down, because I want to give people an opportunity to, the goal is to promote or encourage people to research these things on their own and stop just merely following people on YouTube or in the church or ministry or whatever. But you need to be a person that's asking questions on your own. Okay. And don't be these people who just are doing things simply because someone else told you to do it. So don't do that. That's it. So I went ahead and turned the phone off. I think that's it for now. And I think we're going to be done for now. But I hope you guys got something out of the broadcast today. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me, and thank you to our callers who have called in. And you know, the what I was going to say, you are more than welcome. My email address is connect@sombertree.com. Whoa, not that one. Connect@journeymanandwoman.com. Connect@journeymanandwoman.com. I'll say that again. Connect@journeymanandwoman.com. All right. That's our email address. If you have any questions for us, feel free to email that way. All right. Or you can use the comment section. The last thing I want to say is this, is that, listen, I am a very direct person. All right. When I'm communicating, I tend to be very direct. So please do not get in your feelings if you think I'm being mean. I'm not that. Okay. I'm not that voice in your head. Okay. I'm not that evil cartoon character in your head. Okay. You know, but I am a very direct person. And a lot of times people who are very direct, they get misunderstood as you being mean and evil and all that stuff. No, I'm just asking some direct questions. And, you know, if you can't answer it or if you can't handle it, then that's fine. Okay. I'm just letting you know up front, you know, so just want to be very clear on that. Okay. Someone's asking a question. Why we get these last minute people, but that's okay. Let me see what this person is saying here. This is Judy Childs. It says, if you believe who he is according to the scriptures say that he is, then accept him as he. Don't make alterations. Otherwise, it's not him. It's simply an idol. Then you become its God. Okay, I'm trying to understand here. Okay. If you believe who he is according to the scriptures say who he is, then accept him as he is. No, ma'am, that's not how that works. That may work in your household, but that doesn't work here. Okay. That may work and that may be your choice, but Jesus is not my slave master. He may be your slave master, but he's not my slave master. Okay. We're going to question everything from the first cover to the back cover when it comes to the Bible and every individual that's mentioned in the Bible. We're going to question it. Okay. And if he did not meet his promise in granting people like you the ability to lay hands on the sick and watch them recover, then you're daggone right. I'm going to question him as well. And you should be doing the same thing. Okay. So again, he is not my master. He is not my massa. He may be yours, but he's not mine. Okay. I wasn't saved out of slavery to go into slavery. Okay. I don't buy that. Okay. So you may want to really think on that. If you got something else to say on that, we're here. Okay. Or would you like to call in? Cause I'll make it available for you. If you like to call in, not arguing, but we'll make it available for you too. If you'd like to chime in on that, but no, we're not, you have to first answer that as well. If you're not a person that's going around and manifesting the promise that he gave in the book of Mark about laying hands on the sick and they shall recover, if you are not doing that, then by definition, that means you don't believe him. Okay. So you have to check that out on your own. Okay. But no, he is not our master and he is not my massa. All right. So I guess I'll leave it there since there's nothing else to be said on that, but I'm here. So you can email, you can also leave a comment as well and under this video, and we are here for you. All right. Thank you so much for chiming in. You take care and have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care now.